We just saw the Avengers 2, Age of Ultron.
TM.
Registered.
Whatever. I needed to say something.
Yeah.
But anyway, from our nice little jig there, you can tell that it was a pretty good movie.
Yeah, so you can stop bitching about me not taking you to go and see good movies.
Technically, I took you.
Yeah. Kind of little date thing.
You didn't even put out. I mean, I had the popcorn sitting there and everything. You didn't go for it.
You were sitting like 4 seats away from me.
Could have tried. But anyway.
This conversation got off to a great start.
Okay, about the movie. First things first, would you recommend?
Duh.
Well, yeah. They actually got a really good movie going now.
Yep. However, I must have a disclaimer. I was a curmudgeon in the Thor 2 review because that was before him and Koki2080 pulled the giant stick right from my ass and actually got me to start reading comic books.
It was a pretty big stick.
It was.
But yeah.
Though this movie I was actually really excited for.
I'm so proud.
Yay.
They nerd out so fast.
But before we actually talk about the reason why you guys clicked on this video, we have to talk about trailers.
First things first, favorite trailer?
Raptors on motorcycles.
I was going to go with that too. Apparently in the new Jurassic World, humans and raptors team up.
On motorcycles.
It's the rapture. It's coming. And I want this. I want this so very much.
I don't really have any thoughts on Jurassic World. Like, I feel like Jurassic World, they're just doing it because they can.
Well, yeah, just look at the new Mad Max that's coming out.
I thought we'd been trying to get beyond Thunderdome.
Yeah.
Stop playing with your face.
You just wish you had a face. And that makes no sense. For that, I don't apologize.
Precisely.
But anyway, what was the other trailer we saw? We also saw the new GTA movie.
Oh yeah, San Andreas.
Yep. They're just giving up on ideas at this point.
Which, by the way, in case you have never seen the trailer for San Andreas, you're really trying to make that thing work, aren't you?
I can't even see what the cigarette is. Can you help me out here? Apparently, this mask has hotboxed the cigarette smoke in my face. Oddly enough, I'm okay with this.
I told him he didn't have to wear it for the whole review. I think he's just trying to make it a challenge now.
It is! It was a bad idea for the cigarette. Because every time, it just blows smoke in my face, and it has not very many places to go. If I pass out, please don't violate me.
Damn. Okay, but seriously, San Andreas, at the beginning, like, it was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and like it talks about his relationship with his daughter, and it's so adorable. So I'm just kind of like sitting back thinking, oh great, he's doing another like cutesy family flick. Like,
the entire time I'm waiting, something's gonna happen. Shit's gonna hit the fan. Just wait. Just wait.
And then the city explodes, and it pretty much just turns into like 2012 and every other disaster movie.
Did not see that one coming. I figured it was gonna be like, you know, taking the sub-sequel with a whole new person. But no. Whole premise of the movie. The fault line decides to go split. And
It pretty much...
buildings fall over and a giant tidal wave throws a ship at them.
And when you're in a skyscraper during an earthquake, what's the first thing you do? I'm gonna run to the roof. Just so then the camera can get a sweeping angle shot of what's happening to the city. I just don't...
Also, when the Earth decided to throw a tidal wave and a ship at you, your first reaction, I'm gonna hide underneath the desk. That will help. This magical desk will protect me.
That's what they taught us in school.
Yeah. No.
So yeah, I love Dwayne Johnson as an actor and as a wrestler. because I kind of grew up in his era. But I'm not really hyped for that movie. We also saw the trailer for Ant-Man.
Which, oddly, I was not looking forward to making an Ant-Man movie. It might actually be a pretty good movie. Especially because the fact that they're definitely having a nice comical twist on it.
Yeah. And it's actually kind of funny that we bring out Ant-Man because with our Minecraft Let's Play, we had an entire segment where we were just talking shit about Hank Pym.
Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry, just Ant-Man's not one thing I did not really agree with. I didn't think he needed his own movie, especially because he introduced, Ultron without him.
We'll be getting to that.
Yeah.
But one thing about Ant-Man that I didn't, because I haven't seen this trailer before. Like, I saw the quip at the very end where, like, the Thomas the Tank Engine's coming and then, like, it hits the guy and falls over.
Don't fuck with Thomas the Train.
But,
Thomas the Dawn Train.
Like, I thought for Ant-Man, everyone was hyping it up that Michael Douglas was going to be Hank Pym.
Well, no, at one point that, they couldn't get a set actor. They got one, they lost him, they got another one.
Yeah, I thought that was Michael Douglas, who ends up in the movie, but as, like, the guy who made the suit.
Who knows?
And, of course, the chick love interest is going to be Wasp. You don't even have to know a lot about the Ant-Man comic books and know... Well, you kind of do if you want to know who Wasp is.
Wait, wasn't Wasp his daughter?
No, Wasp was his, like, wife, girlfriend.
I don't know, I've never really read the books at all.
Any other trailers? I could have swore that there was just more than 3.
Wasn't there like some horror movie one, I want to say?
No, I don't think we saw a horror movie trailer. We talked about Jurassic World, Ant-Man, San Andreas.
Yeah, I think there was one more, but I can't remember it.
Well, if we can't remember it, then you failed making a trailer. So, there you go.
Yeah, apparently it wasn't that good of a trailer.
Yeah. So, let's get to the movie, Avengers, Age of Ultron.
First things first. Casting. Approve or disapprove?
The guy that got the voice Ultron... wait, before we actually start talking about the movie, spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about this movie. You clicked on a review for a movie you haven't seen yet. What the fuck is wrong with you? Just go see it, dude. It's still in theaters. Unless you're watching this like 10 months from now, in which it's not.
What?
YouTube. Okay, now that's out of the way.
At that point, they could just torrent it. Hell, they could probably torrent it right now.
Yeah, my dad's trying to. We did get a copy, but it didn't have any sound, and that really pissed him off.
Well, now you can dub it for him. The entire movie, just you. Improving what they're supposed to say.
That would be a really fun,
That's a fun challenge. We need to do that.
Yeah.
If we can actually, if we can make this work, later on we will post our own words. We'll even get Koki28 to help, and maybe Zach Cartoons.
I still, it just looks like that you're looking at me when you're talking, but I know that you're actually trying to look at the camera with your eyes because of the mask.
Yeah, a little of both.
Oh, okay. It's hard to know what the Deadpool is thinking, because the Deadpool isn't thinking.
I have 2 separate speech bubbles. I'm always thinking.
You can see them?
You can see them too? They have wonderful ideas!
But, like I was saying before, the guy that got the voice Ultron, I feel like he really nailed that character. But at the same time, I have to admit, I haven't read all of the Age of Ultron storyline. I have a couple of the annuals that go on Age of Ultron, but I don't have the entire story, so I haven't actually read it.
Yeah, and Ultron had a lot of comedy lines too.
Well, that's Joss Whedon. I feel like he threw in a whole lot of more comic relief into this than he did the first Avengers.
Yeah, but you don't really expect a lot of comic relief out of the villain.
But the thing about Ultron is that he's always meant to be that, like, affably evil character. Like, whereas with Loki, he is affably evil to a point where, like, oh, I'm charming, but I'm so going to murder you. Ultron is kind of like, I'm gonna make a joke while I rip you in half.
Well, Ultron's more of like, you know,
I lost my case.
like naive, like comedy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like as if he's ignorant or like doesn't quite get things. Man, I think they're trying to portray him like being a, because essentially he's a failed AI in the movie, and you know since they're trying to go for like a malfunctional tinge.
Yeah. So you're saying that you don't think that the comic relief really did, like it wasn't good for his character, or?
In a way, it was from how because they did portray him more, you know, like he's malfunctioning, like you know, really setting that out. But I don't really think you know the actual character of Ultron was like that at all.
And of course, there's going to be people like, well, it's not. Of course, it's not going to be like the comic books.
But still, if you're going to base something off of it, at least get a basis of personality.
Yeah. I don't really have any, like...
Okay, my eyes are burning, I can't do it. Oh. Oh, God. The smoke got caught in the mask, and now my eyes, I feel like I'm crying bloody tears of anguish. Ugh. Okay.
I would complain about the Maximal twins, but okay.
Oh.
For those of you out of the loop when it comes to making movies, not all of the Marvel movies are owned by the Marvel Studios. You see, like, Sony owns Spider-Man, Warner Brothers owns X-Men, and which two characters appear in this movie that are from the X-Men universe? Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver.
They're allowed to use them is because they, it was the term mutants
Yeah,
that Warner Brothers technically owned and wouldn't let them use. So they made them into pretty much like
genetically engineered super soldiers.
yeah,
Experiments, more so.
yeah. And to top it off, they get their powers from them messing around with Loki's staff from the last movie.
Yeah, because after the battle for Manhattan, no one was like, you know the thing that opened a portal and ripped a giant goatsy hole in the sky? Whatever happened to that?
Oh, hey look, we found it. Let's try to replicate its power, because that's going to end well.
But one thing that really irked me about the characters is that if you've read the comic books, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver are Magneto's kids. Magneto is German, but in this movie they made them Slavic instead of German because they have this whole new backstory that they had to work around.
Yeah, but then again, at this point, you know, if you want to go based off of it, sure, Magneto's German, but he wasn't the one that raised them. So it doesn't matter where they're from.
Yeah. I don't know, I just never really saw Quicksilver with, like, a fucking Rusky accent to him.
Another thing, like I said with casting, and, you know, how they're playing off the character, Quicksilver should not be a serious, revenge-driven character.
Well, admittedly, without the revenge plot, why are they in this movie? Like, it's just an excuse plot for, like, to fight the Avengers and then all of a sudden come and join their side later in the movie.
I can understand Scarlet Witch and then Quicksilver just, you know, protecting his family.
Yeah.
Because Quicksilver is actually really big on his family.
That's a lot of his character, especially in the Ultimate storyline, is that he's, like, really overtly protective about Scarlet Witch. Except in the Ultimate storyline, they bone!
Yeah.
I wish I made that up. Do not read Ultimatum. That is a bad comic book. Bad.
Let's not talk about that. But another thing. As much as I hate to say it, the X-Men movies, they actually did a really good job at portraying Quicksilver. I loved it. That was my favorite parts of the movie. So when Quicksilver was being, well, Quicksilver.
Of course, I did love on how they introduced him. Like, he's playing, like, he has a Pong arcade and he's playing against himself, and then he goes over to an actual ping pong table and plays against himself.
Yeah. Then the whole point when he's, breaking out Magneto, and, yeah, everything slows down, he puts on the goggle, puts on off music, just runs around, just slightly altering things to make it all work out and be awesome.
When you talk about Days of Future Past and you bring up the slow-mo scene, everybody knows what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, because that's a good, memorable character that actually sticks to the comic books.
Who else did they bring into this movie? Well, there was the one generic Hydra bad guy.
Yeah, that had like a space age monocle thing.
Yeah. Admittedly, I'm just ignorant of this character because I'm pretty sure he's a Captain America villain. And I haven't read a lot of Captain America.
Most likely.
There was the arms dealer guy, who I'm sure is a lot of comic book geeks will know.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure who he was either. But they did introduce, crap, who was it? The guy who ends up becoming Captain America when Captain America dies.
Falcon?
Yeah, Falcon.
Well, Falcon was in the second Captain America movie.
Well, I didn't see that.
Oh.
But did they actually put him in there, like, in his suit?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Like I said, I didn't see it.
Yeah, that's one thing I did like about this movie over the first Avengers.
Oh, one big person that they introduced. Vision.
Of course, fucking, yeah.
He's kind of a major player in that.
I remember, like, leading up to this movie, a lot of people are like, is Vision going to be in this movie or not? No, he's not going to be in this movie. But Vision's such a big part of the Avengers, especially the Ultron storyline. He's not going to be in the movie. And then, boom! Like, as soon as he came out of, like, the fucking, like, Stasis pod thingamajig, I just kind of, like, I was just, like, aghast going, is that Vision? Like, I just went
I had my
full...
suspicions because... Okay, again, spoilers. Inside Loki's staff is one of the Infinity Stones. Ultron puts that in the forehead. Oh yeah, this is how they make Vision in this game because they can't go with the Fantastic Four. Ultron decides to make a biological body for him.
He essentially tries making an android.
Yes. He makes it. He's going to put his own consciousness in, and he puts the Infinity Stone in the forehead, and decides, okay, I'm going to download myself in this body now. Well, the Avengers had other plans, so they stole his potential body, and then Tony Stark's like, "You know what would be a great idea? I'm going to put an AI in this. Guess what? But Jarvis is dead. Oh, conveniently, I found Jarvis in the internet. Let's just download him in." And of course, at this point, the other Avengers really don't agree with it.
Because
so
no one really knows what's going on in this
They have a little squabble back and forth. Quicksilver decides to unplug all the thing, massive power surge. It's like, oh yeah, the body's gonna die, who cares? Then in flies Thor.
Boom, boom, boom.
For no reason. Everyone's confused, and then he just lightning strikes this pod.
Especially because he hasn't even been in like the past 10 minutes of the movie because he went off on a vision quest.
Yeah. Quite literally, a vision quest. Because then out pops Vision. And at that point, you're like, well, that could be Vision. Oh, wait, no, the body's going to die. And then, oh, no, Thor saves it and finishes off and makes Vision. Of course, nobody trusts him. Everyone's a little confused. You know how he gains their trust?
He stares out a window.
He stares out a window, and apparently that was enough to convince Thor. Well, everyone else is a little iffy. And then he was like, we need to go now. We need to be all together. And then just nonchalantly hands Thor his hammer. Yes. And apparently that's like, as he's doing this, he's like, I know there's nothing I can say to make you trust me, but we have to move now. At the point you see everyone's eyes light up like, okay, we trust you. Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, when the trailer came out and it showed all like the very famous scene, all of them working with the hammer trying to lift it. There's so many people that were geeking out because Steve Rogers manages to nudge Mjolnir a little bit, and then it like zooms in on Thor and his face just goes white, and everyone's talking about how that's such a great scene, and I'm like, read Fear Itself. Captain America lifts Mjolnir in that storyline. Fear Itself is pretty good.
Actually, There's other people that lifted Thor's hammer as well.
Yeah. Like, a lot of people are so, like, dead set thinking that only Thor can lift the hammer. That's why they added whore in the fucking comic books.
Yeah, well, you know. There's a lot of characters that... I thought... Doesn't Tony Stark even lift it at one point?
I don't know. I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of Thor, so I can't say for certain. I don't think so, but I'm not sure.
A lot of it was the whole, you know... Axis storyline with the Agent of Loki, and Loki was wielding.
Yeah,
Mjolnir.
Loki did pick it
That
up.
was awesome. He beat the living shit out of his brother.
Because during the whole Axis storyline, like, everyone's personalities were, like, got the...
Not personalities, their alignments got reversed. Also, which made me, like, one of my favorite Deadpool interpretations, Zenpool.
Zenpool. Also,
He beats a man up with a turkey. He has a frozen turkey, he just wants to go and make dinner, and this guy decides, you know, try to bug him, so Deadpool defends himself with a turkey. Yeah, it happened.
Remember the movie we're supposed to review?
Oh yeah. Back on topic. So yeah, we're at casting. You know, casting well. You know, Vision was pretty spot on.
Admittedly, Vision doesn't...
Oh yeah, that's also the last movie, Fantastic Four, since we talked about Vision.
Right.
Because I was upset that Vision was supposed to be made out of the dead body of the Human Torch. That's also the reason why, you know, Vision's character had the skin color of red, is because Ultron left his skin red as a reminder from who he was made from. It was like an iconic thing.
And wait, isn't it when Johnny Storm dies, that's why Spider-Man joins the Fantastic Four?
No, because they end up getting another Human Torch somehow. I know that, Spider-Man does go around with the Fantastic Four, but...
I think that's after the son is born.
Yeah.
But that's not this movie, and we need to get back onto the goddamn movie.
Yeah. But... You know, the plot... Pretty simple.
I did kind of like the In Medias Res opening.
The what?
Where the movie opens up without much of an intro and it's already straight to the action. That's called In Medias Res.
Yeah. That was pretty good, you know, just straight to the point, you know, no wasting any backstory, what they've been doing.
I did, like, it's just like a cold open, everyone's fighting. You see, like, Thor's flying around just hitting people with his hammer, Captain America's kicking butt.
On a motorcycle. And then the Hulk being the Hulk.
Yeah. And of course, one of the best scenes in the opening is when Captain America flips over the motorcycle and chucks it at a Jeep and cuts it in half.
He's like, I'm done with this now, you can have it.
And then there was the bunker buster scene, where, like, after they introduce Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch to send out after the Avengers is tearing everybody up, Quicksilver hits Hawkeye, and so he's, like, badly wounded on the field. And then, like, he's pinned down, fucking Black Widow's trying to help him out. I was about to say Scarlet Witch, because Scarlett Johansson. My brain's messed up right now. But, like, Black Widow's trying to help out Hawkeye because he's wounded. And then all of a sudden the Hulk goes through the bunker that's shooting at Hawkeye
first,
and just goes boom.
First things first, the bunker's shooting at them. And she's trying to get him out of, you know, the battle zone. She's like, somebody take care of that bunker. The Hulk just runs straight through it. She's like, thank you. Which also, did not expect Bruce Banner and Black Widow to have a love interest.
That was weird, especially because of the fact that in the first Avengers movie, they were really hinting at the whole Black Widow-Hawkeye relationship.
Yeah, and then in this movie, apparently Hawkeye's married and has kids.
I know nothing about Hawkeye in the comic books, but that just felt like a real asshole to me.
Yeah, especially because earlier on, he was talking, like he was getting healed up, and the doctor made the comment, because they were introducing artificial skin to heal his wound.
Just to set up for the whole incubation chamber for Vision later.
Yeah. So, she's like, oh, you know, even your girlfriend won't notice the difference. And he makes the quote, like, oh, well, you know, I have a girlfriend. But no, he has a wife and kids. And
I mean, I get it. Like, they're secret agents. Their lives are like completely separate from how they're perceived, and blah blah blah. But it just felt like an asshole to me.
You know, it also, I don't know about Hawkeye, but I do enjoy the fact that they gave him more lines, more character, more substance in this
That's
movie.
actually something I wanted to talk about. In the first Avengers movie, who did they focus on? They focused on Tony Stark. They focused on Steve Rogers and Thor. In this movie, they focused on Bruce Banner, fucking Natasha, and Hawkeye. Clint. Like, I felt like...
But then again, in Hawkeye's defense, the first movie, he spent a majority of it mind-controlled by Loki.
Yeah.
That kind of does without a character there.
I did like on how, like, they're giving each character enough screen time.
So you get to know all the characters, except for just, the few that are the big famous, actors.
Because with the X-Men movies, you have to admit it, Wolverine is the spotlight stealing guy.
Yeah. They definitely don't really focus on much else. But then again, Wolverine is one of the more iconic characters in the series.
Yeah. And then again, the less they focus on Halle Berry's acting, the better.
Good point. That is very true.
But yeah, that's one big thing I wanted to say is the fact that they focused on the other three instead of like just having a. I mean, admittedly, Tony does put a whole lot into this because he makes fucking Ultron.
Yeah, but in this one, instead of him and Hank Pym, it's
him and Bruce Banner.
Yeah.
Build Ultron, which it kind of makes sense, but then again, it doesn't. Because Bruce Banner, like, yeah, he's a scientist and he's a really smart dude, but that's not necessarily his field.
Yeah, his field was gamma radiation.
And, like, bio something.
Yeah, but in this one, apparently, he majored in that in college, and then he, his minor had to do with introducing AIs into, either a robot body or an organic android body.
And one thing that kind of confused me is, like, the whole revelation with what Tony's trying to do with Ultron is that he wants to create artificial intelligence. He kind of already has that with Jarvis. Jarvis is an AI.
Yeah, but, Jarvis, I think what he's going for is Jarvis just goes in the base facts and statistics, but with an actual AI, they can make more in-depth choices.
Yeah.
As instead of, going for, I can sacrifice these 200 people over here to save these thousands. The logical choice is, yeah, fuck these, few guys over here. I'm just going to save these guys. But with, an AI can make a more logical choice of, I want everyone to be saved. I'm going to find an abstract way to fix this problem. I'm going to make sure that everyone's okay and then just going for the logical choice. So,
actually, this just hit me. It's more like Jarvis is Guilty Spark, but Ultron's Cortana.
Yeah.
Kind of like that.
That kind of basis as well, yeah.
Halo.
It solves everything.
There was something I was going to talk about. Oh yeah. This is something I actually kind of thought about when they were doing Age of Ultron. Like, I'm pretty sure I said this on Twitter, but no one follows me on Twitter, so fuck you. And you shouldn't follow me on Twitter because all I use it for is ranting and shitposting. So if you
That's
like that...
Twitter. That's the entirety of Twitter.
That too. But, in the second Iron Man... Have you seen the Iron Man movies?
Oh.
In the second Iron Man movie, one of the big things is that Hammer Industries makes, like, all these, like, armored drones.
I have the second Iron Man movie.
I don't know what you've seen and what you haven't. But... Hammer Industries makes all of these, like, armored drones. And
they're trying to replicate Iron Man.
Right. But in the climax, they're kind of proving that it's not the fact you have suits, it's who's wearing the suit. And then in the third Iron Man movie, he makes the Iron Legion, which kind of nullifies the point of the second movie where it's like, yeah, I'm a guy with a suit, but then again, I have all my suits who are being controlled by Jarvis.
Well, the point of the third movie is him losing himself and trying to, progress into, like, making more and more machines, making everything better. That's why it also shows, like, all the different iterations. He gets lost in just making his creations. He makes them just for any occasion. He's pretty much trying to be a Barney Stinson, just finding a suit-up moment for any occasion.
Yeah. And like I said prior, I haven't actually read Age of Ultron, but I know enough of his character that when Iron Man, like when I was watching Iron Man 3 and the Iron Legion comes out in the climax, I was like, isn't that what Ultron takes over? Because that's the plot of this movie, is that Ultron pretty much integrates himself into the internet, into Jarvis, and like he pretty much takes over all of the Iron Legion and then makes them into his minions.
See, I'm not sure about that. Like, I always thought that Ultron was based on, like, a bunch of series of, like,
Well, in the comic
things.
books, like, there's always, like, different iterations of Ultron, and he gets more and more, like, intelligent or stronger with each time.
Yeah, like, because, absorbs in new technology, and it's more the fact that he was started off as, like, what's supposed to be in this movie, defense countermeasure. But he was a series of them. But one of them got an actual, like, sentience off the fact. You guys are welcome to correct me. I am no way an expert. I have any idea of, like, all what I'm talking about.
Okay, that's another disclaimer.
But it was pretty much, like, it was a series, like, like you would have off-the-factory Xboxes, but then one of them's modded with more capabilities. That's pretty much Ultron is, and he took over his brethren. That's what I thought you got the impression out of.
That's another disclaimer that I have to put here. We know of comic books, but we don't know everything. So if we get something wrong or if we fuck up, then don't get angry at us.
Yeah,
I just recently got into comic books. I have an excuse.
Not to mention the whole thing about, there's different iterations, different series, different backstories. Like, look at Spider-Man, for God's sakes.
How about the 4 different Spider-Man comics going on right now?
Yeah, there's Amazing Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man, Spider-Man 99.
The Superior Spider-Man, Spider-Verse.
It just gets ridiculous. So we might rerun thing, might read something else. It doesn't matter. We're just going based off of what we've heard before, what we've read, like different random comic strips that we've seen. We in no way know everything about it. But yeah.
Let's fast forward in the story a little bit. So the Avengers, they stormed this Hydra base where they were working on Loki's spear and the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. And like Tony busts into the base while everyone's still fighting outside because he's Tony.
Yeah.
And he finds he starts downloading all their data because he's Tony. And he eventually finds a secret room because he's Tony.
Which is one of my fifth favorite line. He does a scan of the rooms, like, there's a reinforced wall that has an air draft coming pod. Please be secret door, please be secret door. Yay! And it opens up.
Yeah, he just goes, yay! Like, I feel like Robert Downey Jr. just ad-libbed that line.
I'm pretty sure he ad-libs a lot of lines. Which also, another thing that I think they did, they gave Hawkeye more personality.
Yeah.
There's a couple lines that you can tell were most likely ad-libbed, but it works well.
Yeah. Because with Joss Whedon's writing style, like, he does like throwing in comic relief here and there with his writing. But it's kind of hard to tell what's him and then what's the actors.
Yeah. My favorite parts is later on in the movie, the big end-game battle sequence. Hawkeye is pretty much at this point just holding the team together. At this point, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver are helping out as well. He's giving a motivational speech, and one of his lines of that speech was, we're floating in the air, there's a robot army outside, I have a bow, none of this makes sense, but we have to deal with it. This entire story, everyone's getting altered by, Scarlet Witch is messing with their minds, playing on their fears, and since the first movie, he spent the entire time mind controlled. This is the only guy who doesn't get mind controlled in this film.
because he like hits Scarlet Witch with like a brain taser arrow and says, I've
done this whole brainwash thing. I didn't like it. So he's holding the team together. He's the rock that's bringing them all down to earth. Just like in the first one, Coulson was the rock, making them all combine together.
Yeah.
Which reminds me, I need to catch up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I do too.
I still haven't seen any of the second season. But yeah. They got a really good storyline, you know. Anything in the movie you didn't like?
That's a toughie. I felt like there was a lot more slower scenes in this movie than the previous one. Because admittedly, the first Avengers movie did have like a lot of slow scenes, but when it was needed, it felt like in this movie they were just kind of pit pattered about, and it felt like it dragged out.
Well, how I took on it, I liked those scenes just the fact that it was giving a more human side.
Yeah.
Like showing that even the heroes have their downfalls. And then Hawkeye, who is, you know, just a normal man, can have his heroic side because he brings everyone else together. And, you know, his dedication shows that an immortal man can still be a man, and a man can turn into an immortal man based on, you know, the context. Just, you know, saying that, yes, these are superheroes, but they're still human.
And that's one thing I like about Marvel over DC.
Yeah, that and, you know, I just prefer, like, how they write the characters in Marvel than the DC. You know, there are some good, you know, because everyone's going to be like, oh, they don't like DC, blah, blah, blah. Sure, I say I prefer Marvel, but there are some DC characters that I actually really like. But, anyway, back to the movie.
So pretty much Tony gets the staff, like, Scarlet Witch pretty much just, like, kind of mind rapes him just a little bit. And he has, like, this whole flashback scene where he watches the Avengers die, and then there's this massive portal with all the Leviathans from the first movie flying towards Earth. And that's what spurned his want to create Ultron as, like, this ultimate world protector. Because Tony still has post-traumatic stress disorder from the first movie. Because he went to a portal to a different realm, and then he, like, saw the mass scale that is Thanos' army.
Yeah. Which is also another thing that they played on a lot more, is Infinity Gauntlet and Thanos.
Well, that was a big part of Guardians of the Galaxy, is them, like, introducing... Well, not necessarily introducing the Infinity Stones, but explaining what they are. Like,
yeah.
The Tesseract, the Aether, Loki's staff, those were in the previous movies, but no one ever referred to them as Infinity Stones.
Well, no, because nobody knew that that encased in those were the Infinity Stones. That's where, you know, Thor's, like, vision quest, like, revealed to him that they were the Infinity Stones.
Yeah, and that's why he ended up wanting to make Vision, because he's like, these Infinity Stones are, like, stupid powerful, so might as well have one of them on our side.
Yeah, although, you know, Thor didn't really know for a fact that Vision was going to be on their side. I mean, in the matter of fact, as soon as Vision got out of the, like, you know, the pod, Thor kicks him towards the window.
You gotta make sure.
Yeah, you gotta make sure, but him staring, another thing that I liked is Vision started off, you know, just all red, you know, not wearing anything. Then Vision starts to look out the window after he gets Spartan kicked by Thor. So he's, you know, looking out the window, staring, seeing all this stuff, and then it's like he finds his equilibrium and inner peace and just floats back down to talk to the guys. And as he's doing so, he, like, materializes a suit on him.
Yeah, like he
like,
gets like
a bodysuit, like, for the clothes. And then as they're talking, you know, he looks over at Thor, and then he starts growing a cape. Which, because I'm glad they grew him he grew the cape, just for the simple fact that otherwise it would look nothing like Vision. Yeah. Vision has his cape.
Also, we need to wrap this up because apparently my battery is dying. So, Avengers: Age of Ultron, good movie.
Good movie.